You're watching New Kids on the Block on a week that's been packed with action. It's a show which gets you tomorrow's leaders, that's student union leaders, on the most contentious issues of the week. And here's what we'll be debating on the show. Must initiate dialogue with all stakeholders, said Prime Minister after a 4-hour-long all-party meeting on Kashmir. Can there be a political solution to the Kashmir issue? Iron Lady Irom Sharmila ends her fast, but Manipur turns her away. What is the way forward for Irom Sharmila? Does her struggle inspire generation next? As Indian athletes chase medals at Rio, Sports Minister Vijay Goyal seems to be chasing them for photos. And as he faces flag, Haryana Minister Anil Vij also declares he's headed to Rio as well. What does this say about India? First up for a debate one, all parties have met after Parliament's debate, the Kashmir unrest, in which leaders asked for confidence-building measures like the end of pellet guns and AFSPA. The Prime Minister suggested reaching out to the people of Pakistan-occupied Kashmir and expats from that region. The question we're asking as student leaders is, will these solutions work in a place where, remember, more than 40 civilians have died till now and thousands have been injured? So let's just start with that. Akshat of SFI representing the left, what do you think of all that the leaders are suggesting? There's been so much unrest, so many people have died after Burhan Wani's killing. Do the leaders have an out-of-the-box solution?
Well, unless you set your own house in order, if you point out fingers at others, and it is true for both countries, both India and Pakistan. If Nawaz Sharif calls upon India to respect human rights in Jammu and Kashmir, and the same for our Prime Minister, if he calls about reaching out to the people in POK and POK, I mean, both nations, when it comes to using their security apparatus against their own citizens, have been complicit. There has been no amount of accountability in terms of, accountability in terms of in terms of the repressions that are carried out by the security forces. Only yesterday I heard a news where a 1-year-old girl was hit by a pellet. I mean, you can talk all about ending the role of pellet guns, but if the Director General of the CRPF is going to say that no, we are not going to end the use of pellet guns, and if those kinds of methods are going to continue, then all this rhetoric is just a way of posturing yourself, is just a way of media management, is just a way of perception management to, soothe the voices, soothe the liberal concerns over here.
But we don't usually have student leaders from Trinamool joining us, but today we do. Prantik Chakraborty, we've heard all the parties in Parliament talking about it. Did you hear anything, or is there something, do you have a fresh perspective to how to look at normalizing the situation in Kashmir, which has been on fire since then?
No, the situation of Kashmir is really very poor at right now. So the government decisions of putting in the army is quite correct, because see, the army, putting in the army here is they are not playing kabaddi there, right? When the law and order is not according to the laws, so in that situation it is very obvious that the government should take step to provide security and peace when it is the situation is really burning.
Srirag of the Ambedkar Students Association, we just heard two varying points of view right now from the left and the Trinamool. Where do you stand on this? Because right now everybody's been talking, but we don't really see a clear road ahead.
First, I want to say about Kashmir. We all are discussing about Kashmir a long time ago, and from after the independence also. But we have never asked the Kashmiris, the Pandits, the Muslims in Kashmir, what to do with the Kashmir. So it's about them. The Kashmiris should decide what to do with Kashmir.
Shruti, would you agree with that? And do you think perhaps the government has to take some of that blame when people say that the dialogue process, which is important, hasn't been seen till now?
See, when you talk about dialogue is necessary for solving any sort of conflict. So what I see that PM Modi, after assuming office, himself went to Kashmir and he tried to initiate that dialogue. But you see, we cannot, the situation in Kashmir is very complex, and the complexity many folds increases when the foreign elements start operating covertly. So the problem of Kashmir is a strategic location which is of interest to China and Pakistan as well. So they are creating the complexities over in Kashmir, so we should not forget that the separatist elements, the secessionists playing over there, are playing with the minds of the people, their emotions. So it's actually a complex situation where the Indian government and other political parties should rise above their vested political interest in electoral politics, and they should actually engage in dialogue, stopping the blame games, allegations. They should work together.
Sunny Diman, you're Indian on the NSUI, but you can't perhaps disagree with what the ABVP is saying.
No, I can partially disagree with her. As the other two members has already said, that the Kashmir issue is very problematic. There's a time for us to accept this, that the condition in Kashmir is not the way which our forefather has seen. There's a bitter truth right now, what has been said by Dr. Karan Singh in Parliament, that the Kashmir issue has to be addressed to the involvement of different stakeholders that include Pakistan, that include the Hurriyat faction as well. As being a student, as being a youth, something wrong happening to any youth in any part of the world, whether it's Balochistan, POK or Kashmir, it hurts us. So being also part of NSUI, we welcome the step taken by Prime Minister, but
how do you disagree with that?
We are lacking as Ghulam Nabi Azad sir also has said, that we are still waiting to see what roadmap BJP government will bring. And the last point what I want to say is that the people of Kashmir, Jammu and Kashmir, has not forgotten the political debate between PDP and BJP during election process, and that has alienated the youth of Jammu and Kashmir from this whole system.
If I just quickly ask, one of the things, if you look at the angst against the authorities, it has perhaps got crystallized into the use of pellet guns. Is there anyone who thinks, I mean, how do you think that the government will give in now to the opposition's demand that there should be a stop now on the use of pellet guns? The government said that they've been in use since 2010.
No, not just pellet gun. No,
yeah.
we are trying to find an enemy that is pellet gun. The issue is a political. It is a political problem that has to be sorted through political means only. So I talked to many Kashmiri students in JNU.
Yeah.
All they want, that they want to remove army boot from their houses. Simply all they want is AFSPA should be removed as soon as possible, and that the civilian government should function, whether it's BJP, Congress, NC, whosoever.
Okay, speaking of AFSPA, cues us perfectly to our second debate. We move to the issue in the northeast, in Manipur, where unique story of activist Irom Sharmila played out this week, where she announced that she was ending her hunger strike that lasted 16 years. And at the end of it, what has she achieved? That's what we want to ask our student leaders. That, Srirak, what do you think? Is it right of people, is it justified of people to feel disappointed that she's given up her struggle against AFSPA?
Basically, in this democratic system, it's very unfortunate that she couldn't achieve her, what she was trying to achieve after along these 16 years. So it's basically a shift from the Gandhian principle of satyagraha to another form, we assume the political form. So it will be better, or it will be a better choice of Irom Sharmila to contest in election by stopping her struggle.
Anyone
and it would give more
anyone
power.
Who felt that she did the wrong thing and it was a waste?
I don't think she did the wrong thing.
Yeah, Akshat, explain that.
I think, the point is, she sat there for 16 years, and in a democracy, if the dispensation has a pretense for democratic right, it should listen to you. And it was very moving. When you saw her break her fast, it was a very moving picture.
Yes.
And but the fact remains that all that came to. It is not that it didn't come to anything, because she became a symbol of resistance. After all, everyone knows her because of that.
Yeah.
It's a brave resistance she has carried out. I won't comment upon the method. It's up to her to decide the method. But I think, yes, she has taken a more proactive stance, and I think we welcome her stance, and whatever decisions she takes. We are always in solidarity with her struggles to remove AFSPA and this anti-human kind of laws.
Sunny?
As Irom Sharmila was sitting for 16 years for peaceful protest, and what we are observing now, it's an irony of our time that she has to sit for 16 years and she is still waiting, and she has chosen a different path. But the recent news which are coming from Manipur, that various radical factions have threatened to kill her.
Yeah.
And if they choose their path, they are being threatened from the other faction of the political spectrum, that is radical left. They don't want any kind of political debate to be. What they want, that Irom Sharmila should be used as scapegoat. They don't want her to be a part of democratic symbol, and we appreciate if she contests.
Shruti, do you think there's any, as a young leader of the ABVP, is there any kind of regret that you have of how the centre, whether it's the UPA or the NDA, dealt with a woman who was struggling and who was making a statement against an act which many feel very, very strongly about?
See, whatever the struggle of Irom Sharmila will always be revered, because whatever she went through and the way she protested against it and she stood for it, she fought against it, should always be respected. But when you come and talk about AFSPA, I think, again, like Kashmir, here also the situation is complex, and which can be seen with the rise of the radical left, who is against the decision of Irom Sharmila, who was actually playing with their name as a symbol, and they are a part of the project which is trying to balkanize India. So I think now she has understood this, and that's why she has made a very wise move of democratically fighting against it and making the situation better, so that constitutionally AFSPA can be repealed.
I think those women who were protesting in front of the CRPF headquarters were not protesting against any kind of separatists. They were saying Indian army rapers. I mean, it's very shameful.
See,
as an
I
Indian.
would like to say that you cannot. I would disagree to a point. See, the people who have underwent it, they are emotionally, maybe it's her. No, I'm not defending the rape. I'm saying, like, if you, for a few terrorists, you cannot call the entire Muslim community terrorist.
So you cannot
call the entire Indian army institution as rapists. Yeah, those few rapists should be.
But there is no accountability. No? There has to be an accountability.
It is the irony of our time that those
people, there should be accountability. I'm not against Irom Sharmila. I'm not against Irom Sharmila's protest. I'm not against those women who protested against that rape. But I'm against only one thing, that the entire Indian army should not be denigrated. The people, a bunch of people who have done it, they should be punished.
Misuse of law, misuse of
Exactly,
misuse of AFSPA. It is not just about Indian army.
It's a Rowlatt Act in another form.
Exactly.
It's kind of Rowlatt Act.
I agree to what you say, but
what we say,
the
that
generalization I do not agree.
In a functioning democracy like India, we are a democratic nation from the time we have adopted this constitution. The AFSPA should be repealed as soon as possible, and then let the people of this nation choose their path without any guns and bullets.
Obviously, but the situation, you see the separatist elements functioning over there. Now, you have to always see the situation in both the contexts. You cannot take one side. You need to analyze the situation as a whole.
I think this point about AFSPA is something that unites both what happened in Manipur and Irom Sharmila's thing and in Kashmir.